about a passion and a drive. Now, the Japanese have a concept called Ikigai, okay? Iki means life, Gai means passion, okay? Life passion. They make a Venn diagram out of it, how to get into the middle.
That's really cool.
Things that I'm passionate about, things that people want, things that I'm good at, and things you can get paid for. And then it goes inside another concentric circle, and then in the middle, that's your Ikigai, your passion. And if you're not doing something that you're passionate about, then you're absolutely wasting your time.
That's actually a really good way to figure that out. High school kids should be learning this.
Yes.
Like, I feel like that's a great high school lesson.
Ikigai. It's a wonderful type of concept. So also what you were talking about, Krish, is the ability to step back and objectively critique your own work.
Yeah, you can't think that what you're doing is the greatest thing, but you also have to make choices about what you want your work to be. When part of the thing with a bunch of the shows that I've written is like, I've gotten this criticism a lot is, oh, the ending of your shows are never really that funny. Like, that's supposed to be the funniest part. Like, the closer is supposed to be the funniest joke you've ever written, you know, and that's all fine and good. But when I wanted to do comedy that had a message and a point, things that philosophies and information that I'm excited about, you know, issues that I think are important and worthwhile to talk about, even though society has dictated that we don't. But when you close the show, I stopped caring probably like 4 or 5 years ago about whether that last line is particularly hilarious.
Hold on. I want to take a little bit of credit here. Because when you ended Approaching Happiness, your last hour, right?
Yeah.
When you were finishing up, tweaking, polishing your bits. I'm never going to forget that one. You should title the episode Polishing Your Bits.
God.
I remember saying to you, I can't remember the last line and I don't want to say it either because the audience should listen to Approaching Happiness. It's a great hour of comedy. You say something with a lot of impact and I said, Krish, oh, I love that. End with the impact. And you were like a little on the fence about it.
Well, I was a little on the fence about it.
But I was like,
because I kept thinking,
so
I was
good,
like, it
that
has
last
to,
line. Ooh.
Yeah, it has to be funny. It has to be funny.
I helped.
Then, yes, you helped. You helped. I have a
or
little
I made
note.
Things worse.
I have a little note. I write certain things in my note app, and one of my note things has "I helped" written on the bottom of it from her.
Yeah.
But you have to make a choice about that though. Like I do still get criticisms of like, oh, there isn't the last 2 minutes of what you're saying has 0 laughs. Yes, because I specifically wrote it that way. I'm making a choice because I don't need it to end in a laugh. We've spent an hour and 23 minutes together. You think we can't spend 3 minutes of that not laughing? I think we'll be fine. I think we're going to be okay. I want this to be more than just a couple of chuckles. I think the comedy is a vehicle to get you to a bigger thing, you know, get you to understand certain things, because that's what comedy's done for me.
Well, I was able to fortunately attend your last you were recording your album.
Yeah, and thank you for coming.
That's my pleasure. However, what I found that at the end, you wanted people to leave that theater thinking.
Yes.
You wanted to challenge people. You wanted to think outside the box, maybe present some information that wasn't screaming and yelling and in your face, but straightforward, sober, realistic talk.
Yeah. The whole goal of this show is to get us to realize that we can come together as a community in various different ways and work together to make something better for the future, you know. So that does mean that, you know, that means that the now might be a little bit tougher and you might not get to reap the rewards of your work, and that's okay. But in 10 years we're going to be able to do some really cool shit together, you know. And you contributed to that because it all falls in with, you know, it all falls in line. Every choice we make falls in line to the next one. So why not think about these ideas? And when people come up and say, well, oh, building homes for the homeless, that'll never work. Well, no, it already did. We did it a couple hundred years ago, and that society thrived. So why don't we look at that society and try to emulate it again? Because it seems like we just kind of ignored it. So I just want to remind people, like, yeah, these ideas are not new, and we can execute them, but it's going to mean that we're going to need all of us involved. That's going to mean that there are going to be people that don't like your idea, and that's okay, because you can sit there and go, okay, man, why don't you like my idea? And you sit down and have a conversation. You go, well, okay, thank you for explaining that to me, but I still disagree with you, and I'm going to go execute my idea.
Well, I love your title as a social vigilante. Yeah, actually, that's how I describe you to people. However, just like a therapist, therapists don't run the friendship club. Okay.
Yeah.
It's our job is to frustrate people and make them think so they can have some productive change. Okay. I'm not running the friendship club. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about the weather or, what Aunt Mary did last week and how sad that was. Or
Yeah.
I'm not interested in soap opera drama. Actually, I'll listen to it. Okay, for a while. All right.
Yeah.
However, in your point, when you have people thinking, and you know what, some people don't like to think.
No.
Some
they do
people
not.
don't like to begin to realize that maybe everything that they've been told is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Or they've received a slanted view, like we were discussing earlier before we began to record about it's the winners who write the history books.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is unfair, because I think the details go missing because it's controlling the narrative to make yourself look better.
Well, when Peter Stuyvesant bought Manhattan for $24 worth of beads, they viewed that as, he was a brilliant businessman, slickered the Indians, da. When actually, the Indians thought that was a gift because they had no conception that anyone could own or buy land or sell it. They had no conception of that.
Right.
And they were literally shocked when these guys came in with these thundering sticks and moved them out.
Yeah, it's like, how do you explain the idea of money to somebody that's like, we've never needed it and our society works just fine? They're like, oh, no, but we have these papers and coins that we added value to, and the more you have, the more value you as a person has. And it's like, wait a minute. What are you guys talking about? Right? Like, you can't. So how do you kind of explain that? And can you sit down and be like, okay, this is what this does. You guys are trading goods and services and resources with each other. Now you don't have to give up your resources. You can just use this note that represents XYZ. It's not a bad idea, but maybe the natives could have had a better way of utilizing currency the way that we know currency in a system that doesn't exploit people, but rather that's basically what we did with it. Like Liss mentioned earlier, it's like you went against your natural inclination to play shows. I think currency, when we have this thing, this currency, this money, right? I think our natural inclination is to get more of it so we can exploit other people to get more of it.
Well, some people keep score with it. Now, let's be realistic. You can't stuff enough best wishes and good intentions in an envelope to pay your electric bill. Okay?
True.
You could try it.
Yeah.
You could try it. Okay.
The electric company's not going to like it.
Indeed. But the whole concept of keeping score with money.
Yeah. I don't particularly like it, and I've definitely had a bunch of people that have said that to me in terms of I can't make the statements that I'm making on stage because I don't have the money to back up what I'm saying, which is kind of weird because what I'm saying is the antithesis of what you're describing. So it's like there is a whole warped perception of reality happening there, but it's also that what I'm saying is good based on how much money I make from my shows. So, there might only be 10 people at a show and I might only make $35, but does that mean that what I'm saying doesn't have any worth to it? And to some people, because of how much money I made, because I walked away with $35, no, it doesn't. because you only made $35. But there's a guy at the club 3 blocks away that's, juggling rubber chickens and, farting into a microphone. Well, he just made $700. So obviously that guy is better than you because he made $700.
Well, quite often when we work with young ladies, and it's unfortunate the young ladies begin to lose their self-concept and self-esteem around the age of 9. Okay, I didn't make that up. It's a sad fact. So, however, flowers don't compare themselves to other flowers. They bloom. It's everyone's responsibility to make themselves bloom. But however, we seem to insist we love ourselves, but we seem to love the others' opinions of us more.
Yeah.
Okay. So the whole idea is that flowers don't compare themselves to other flowers. And this is particularly where young ladies get overwhelmed with all the information overload that's out there. Okay. Well, I'll tell you a little story out of my own family history. I had a great uncle that they owned a big department store in a town, and they were quite well to do. Well, the Depression came, and of course, everybody bought on credit, and people started bringing their things back. They said, Mr. Ellermeyer, we can't pay for this. We kept it in good shape. We're going to bring it back. Well, it broke his heart. So what he did, he put an advertisement in the paper, and it said, as of this date, I cancel all debts, both personal and business. Wow. So it ruined him, of course, because the banks weren't as kind.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we go up to the summer and do the Ellermeyer plot the cemeteries, I always tell that story, and I say, you know what, he may not be the richest man in the cemetery, but he may be the best man in the cemetery.
Yeah.
So how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah.
Live every day as it's the last day of your life.
Yeah.
Who do you want to be with? What would you say? What would you do?
Yeah, I think that's sort of the most important thing. And that's also one of those things, like, I know it's kind of a morbid thought to have, but again, it's like, I wrote the show. The show is long. It's like an hour and 20 some odd minutes. But I wrote it because I was like, what if I don't have a chance to say this? What if I don't have a chance to in a year, if I can't tour anymore, if I can't say what I need to say anymore, for whatever reason, whatever happens, at least this is out there, and now it's like something that I can build off.
In the Buddhist world, the concept is that death defines life. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
And how do I want to be remembered? Live your life with no regrets. The best on your last breath, the best thing would be no regrets.
Yeah.
No regrets. So, and that takes a conscious choice every single day to make that conscious choice every single day. I choose. The 2 most powerful words you can say. I choose. Absolutely. We have the social vigilante. We have the golden voiced singer who has an edge to her. I love that edge of yours. So, where do you move from here? What's going on in your life?
We're about to go on vacation.
Our honeymoon.
Our honeymoon.
We're about to go to India.
I keep calling it a vacation because that's kind of what I'm also looking at it as.
So tell us a little bit about India. Maybe most people don't know your background, Krish.
Oh
yeah. I'm from there. I was born there. I moved here when I was 8. So, and it's been about 8 years since I've been back. I was there, it's like 22 or 23 or something like that. So I mean, even then it had changed pretty significantly. Since I'd been there as a kid. It wasn't as industrial or as westernized as it is now. There's a lot of highways now, and it is starting to become more Western, which I think is sort of the natural course of it. We've been, India really gained its modern independence in 42. Yeah. So that's not that long. So for a while, it's still like trying to catch up with what has been in place and still, dealing with its own independence. And I think now it's like they're getting into, some of the more westernized conveniences, which
So
is kind of interesting.
what type of questions do you get about India? What type of misconceptions?
Oh,
do
a
you...
ton of it. People don't, it's like, oh, do you have working toilets, or is it just, dirt and shit all over the place? Like,
No, can you tell the joke? I
Oh,
like the joke.
God,
Is
I
it
don't
possible?
even remember the
He's
joke.
not good at this. So like,
I-
tell that joke, and he's like, he does that. What just happened?
I don't remember it. I wrote a joke about the misconceptions and like all the weird questions that I have. It is the opener of my album, How Not to Fit In.
Can I
If you
try
want to
it?
go listen to
I
it.
could try it.
Do you remember it?
I think so.
Please.
Yeah.
I
remember, like,
not
one or
word for
two-
word, not like you do it, but I
Yeah.
can like try to tell the jokes.
The album is, or the track is called
There's a joke.
Six Armed Dolphin.
Oh yeah, that's
So,
good. I'm not going to
yeah.
tell the whole thing.
Okay.
It's just the toilet part.
All right.
So like,
What did you?
what do you guys have toilets in India? Is it just like a hole in the ground? Do you know that that's what a toilet is here? It's a hole that goes into the ground. You know that, right?
We
Like
just
it's the
decided
same
we
thing.
just decided to dress it up with ceramics.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Just
much-
put a ceramic throne over it. Here.
I don't think I said
I like
ceramic
that joke.
throne, but I think ceramic.
I added
throne
my
would
own
have been,
flair to it.
Oh, that's a good line. Ceramic throne would have made that. If I would have worked on it for another year, I would have come up with ceramic throne.
I helped.
So there's a quote in the 12-step book, and I'll paraphrase. This is by a fellow by the name of Herbert Armstrong. I believe he was a contemporary of Charles Darwin. And he said, there's one sure principle that will keep a person in everlasting ignorance, and that is contempt prior to investigation.
Yeah, I don't know how much of their questioning comes from contempt. I think it comes from misinformation, which I think that misinformation might have been delivered out of contempt. So, yeah, so I guess if you go back far enough, there's some form of contempt somewhere. I look at it as like curiosity, and I had an argument with somebody. This young lady came to my show in Columbus, and she had just moved there, was making friends. She came to the show, and we had this conversation of like, I think it's important to educate people, especially about misconceptions, So the comic that was also on the show with me was an older black comic. She was maybe in her 40s, but that's what she was like. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand really what took place in the civil rights era. It's just the same thing as like people don't really understand what it's like in a modern country that is considered a second world country because of where it stands in the economic rankings, right? But like by no means is the philosophy and what we have in India like any different than what's here, right? Like go to any rural community in India, it's almost no different than rural communities in America. They have their superstitions, they have their religions, they have their farms. So, but people don't know that, and we have to educate them to dispel hate. And this young lady was very upset because she's like, I'm tired of telling people this. They should just know. And I was like, people just don't. You don't know. Even instinct is learned. You learn what your instincts are. You just don't. People don't know. You have to either teach them or they have to go to India to see it. And people just don't have a bunch of money and time laying around to go to a different country and experience it for a while. So, you have that information. Why are you keeping it to yourself?
No.
Right? I mean, that's sort of the way that I look at it is I have a bunch of information and you have a bunch of information. Why don't we tell each other what the information is? And yeah, I think we'll be better off. Probably, right?
So that's keeping the light under a bushel basket. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I consider you helping people just open their eyes and explore possibilities. There may be another way to look at this.
Yeah. Yeah. We kind of hear that from our parents a couple times when we talk to them about things is like, oh, I never looked at it that way. It's like, yep, I know. Neither did I until I did.
And again, you're pointing out blind spots. You're looking at things from all different types of angles.
Yeah.
And to be non-judgmental and objective is one of the most difficult things to train our minds to do.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com. where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of fishing without bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.